And feel free to share in the chat where you're joining us from. I will drop 2 links in the chat. If you want to follow along with the slides, I've dropped a link to the slides and then a handout that we have for Social Explorer that includes links to support documentation, training materials for later. We'll start off here with a quick poll. So how often do you use Social Explorer? Is it once a week, once a month, once in a blue moon, or never? All right, and then I'll share results out now. So we have most people saying never. We have a few saying once in a blue moon, and then one person saying once a week. So based on that, I'm just going to do a quick primer on what Social Explorer is and the basics of using the platform before we get into some case studies for today. All right, so we'll start off with navigating the interface. I'll go through some case studies of how Social Explorer has been used to work directly with public libraries and nonprofits on marketing and strategic planning purposes. I'll show how to create some maps, especially maps of neighborhoods and census blocks within a county. And then I'll show you how to run some reports as well, and there will be time for Q&A. So Social Explorer is a mapping tool that pulls in various sources of demographic data. The benefits are you have a vast repository of US Census data as well as data from the American Community Survey. It's a very user-friendly interface that is suitable for all skill levels. So if you have folks who are just using a demographic database or a mapping tool for the first time, it is fairly easy to pick up. And then you can create custom maps, reports, and presentations in the platform. And it's a really good tool for community analysis and decision making, whether it's within the library or the library is partnering with other community groups. And so just in terms of getting started, you can create an account. The benefits of creating an account is you're able to save any maps or reports that you create and access them later. I find it's really handy, especially when I'm preparing for webinars like these, to have every map that I share in the webinar saved in my project space for later. And then in terms of just a quick question, feel free to raise your hand. Who here has created an account with Social Explorer? And feel free to share in the chat if you have. All right, so Robert's saying yes. Gotcha. And we'll walk through that. All right, so this is the dashboard of Social Explorer. The main thing that you can take a look at is on the left-hand side under My Projects. You can create either a new map, a report, or a story. And so that's where the bulk of the platform, you're going to use one of those 3 features. And then if you are searching and you're creating a custom map, what you'll want to do is it is automatically pre-populated with population density data per square mile. All you have to do is take the change data button within that panel on the left-hand side of the map and click change data. And then you can change it to a couple of different options. And so I'm just going to share my screen quickly so you see what that looks like once you first create a map in Social Explorer. So again, if I go to create new and then map, I can say, I'll start with US. And then I can click change data, and I can change it by year, or I can change it by category. Like if I want to look at age data, or if I want to look at data from the census from 2020, I can change it to 2020 data. But that's kind of just that pre-populated population density data that I can change from state to county. And then I can also explore change over time if I want to click and see change over the last 5 years. And as I zoom in on these maps, you can auto adjust, and that basically what it does is it calculates the ranges based on the currently visible part of the map, and updates it accordingly. And so again, you'll see these ranges updated and changing here. I've zoomed in on North Carolina, but as you can see here, I have counties from South Carolina, Virginia even up here. If I just want to look at North Carolina, one thing that I can do is click on that 3-line button here and click mask. And I can mask the entire state of North Carolina here. Or I can mask by county. Like, let's say I just want to look at Chatham County and click done. Now, I've talked with a lot of different libraries in our membership over the last couple of months in using Social Explorer. And I have seen public libraries really interested and eager to use this tool for their own data-driven decision-making and marketing purposes. And one thing that you can do is take this and look at it down to the census tract, or look at it down to county subdivision. And that's a useful feature to change that geography to a smaller source of data, because then you're able to potentially, for a public library, look at, okay, we have a branch in, Hickory Mountain Township, we have a branch up here in Williams, and we have a branch over here. And how do I take some of this demographic data and look and analyze where a branch is set up and how are we best using our resources or creating programs that are representative of the communities living around that branch? And so one way that we can do this is by looking at, in North Carolina, we can look at Spanish speakers. So I can look at household language as Spanish. Let's see here. I'm going to take, there we go, and auto adjust. And I find within Chatham County, North Carolina, that the bulk of the Spanish speaking population here is situated in this northwest corner. And so let's say if there's a branch over here, maybe having Spanish, a lot of resources in Spanish, or librarians who are well trained in basic reference in Spanish is super important compared to maybe in this township over here where there's far fewer Spanish speakers living in that area of Chatham County. So that's one way that you can kind of take these maps and really focus in on your service population and your community and pull up data easily. So I'm going to head back into my slides, but that's just kind of a quick dive into using those maps. And with the maps, you can also, I'll show you later how you can copy existing maps from Social Explorer and adapt them to fit your own geography. Particularly, this is an example of internet access. I'll show you how I updated this to look at just a particular county in North Carolina. But there are 3 different ways that data is represented in those maps. There's the shaded area, so that displays data on a spectrum. There's dot density, so these uniform dots are used to represent a set number of people, and you can increase the size of that dot or decrease it to represent a larger population or a smaller. It's useful for showing multiple variables or doing comparisons. So this is a map I created of some data on Spanish-speaking households in North Carolina, and the green dots are Spanish-speaking households that have high English skill, they speak English regularly, and then the red are kind of like low English skill, they don't speak English often. And that's a way that you can kind of pull in, like, let's say Buncombe County Public Library, where Asheville is in the west, and maybe prioritizing around those red dots some outreach and working with the Spanish-speaking community there to use and benefits from some of the library resources that we have in Spanish and the ESL training materials that we have in transparent language, one of our resources. So that is one approach that you can take, is using dot density. Bubbles allow you to see raw values. The number of people are represented by each circle, and that can be changed in the legend up or down. I find in my experience in using this tool, I mostly use the shaded areas and dot density more than the bubbles. So filtering data, you can filter by criteria, but also this section here where you click on those 3 lines is where you can mask that map data like I showed you. This is an example of a mask being on for North Carolina, so I'm just seeing data from the state of North Carolina. It's a really helpful way to kind of just filter out other locations and focus on one particular geography. You can do it for a county, but you can also do it as small of a geography as a block group or a census tract. So that is something that's available to you. You can also add layers of point data, which is great. This is a way for public libraries to upload your own library card sign-up data in your county. Or if you want to upload information on your branches, like you want to upload, let's say you have 5 branches in your library system or 6, you can upload those and then use the maps to analyze your populations around those particular branches. This is an example of a map that uses the Food Environment Index, which is used to evaluate access to healthy food in a particular area. And then I uploaded or I added in a layer of point data on fast food restaurants. So that is one tool that you have, is you have preset layers that you can add on restaurants or hospitals in an area, or you can upload your own as a spreadsheet, and I'll show you what that looks like. I do want to start off with a really great case study of a library using Social Explorer. So Ypsilanti District Library in Michigan wanted to examine their usage patterns by age, sex, and other demographics of the library for planning and development. And so they took their data on library checkouts and then worked with Social Explorer to create demographic profiles of the neighborhoods served by 3 branches of the library. And so Social Explorer pulled data from the American Community Survey from 2015 to 2019, and then compared it with the library patron demographics, as well as state and national numbers to kind of create a benchmark for the district. And so that's one way that you can kind of combine what you have on your end, your library data, your checkouts, with some data on your county, your neighborhoods, and then the state to figure out if you're really, your patrons are representing your population surrounding the library, and who are you potentially not reaching, and using those insights to kind of encourage more library card sign up and reach some more potential patrons. So I've linked to the blog post on Novelist, or not Novelist, Social Explorer's blog. Sorry, lots of trainings going on. And you're welcome to access that and explore it later. But I also have Jeff Hahn, who is the head of training for Social Explorer, here to share how he worked with Ypsilanti District Library.
Well, thanks. Devin, what a great presentation. Thank you so much. I'm going to share my screen for a second.
Yep.
And let's see here. So what I'm showing you is a report that we did for Ypsilanti District Library. And there's two ways to go about things. One is you can build these reports and we give you the tools and you have the tool set to work with it yourself. But for them, we built this report for them. They gave us their patron data. We matched it with other data sets that we have we have a data set of about 200 million US residents, and we can append data that you send us and match it, and then we can come up with other demographic information that you don't have. And so we built this report for them. And it, just to show you, it was based on the 2019, at the time, we did it in 2020 for them. And we were able to show them age comparisons, looking at the United States, looking at all the different libraries within their system. And then we were able to give them information on gender, write up a little report about that for them, also give them the information on race, income, and poverty. And that might not be data that you have, but that's data that we may have. And so we appended to the data that you give us, and we can give you information on that as well. Education also. Whether they have internet access in the home, what family structures like, health as well. And then we went through library patron profiles for them. We provided them age over time, that they had that data over time. So we're able to map data over time for you. Age distribution for the library. Utilization by age. We can look at monthly checkouts. We can look at lifetime checkouts as well. Patronage by branch. And so we can take your data, we can map it for you, we can build these reports for you. If you don't have the time to do it, we can do it for you and work closely with you for that as well. We show patron proximity to each branch. And so you can see where different branches are located, what the growth is in those areas, what the demographic profile, economic profile of the people that you serve, to give you an idea of what type of programming you might be interested in providing. And so we do enjoy working closely with our clients on a report like this. We do it quite a bit for nonprofits. And so we can show you population change going out into the future as well within the various areas that each branch serves. And so I just wanted to show you that type of report. And just to let you know, we charge for that. It's $1,000 for us to build a report for you, but it's a great value. And we do, it's it's sort of it's a little bit of a lost leader for us, but we enjoy doing it. We have the tool set to do it, and we think that, especially for nonprofits and libraries, that it's an effective way to get an understanding of your community. So I just wanted to show you that. And with that, I'll stop sharing and I'll turn it back.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jeff.
You're welcome.
Let's see. Where is my screen share? Let's stop here. Okay.
And just to let people know if they're interested in working with us on something like that, they can reach out to me at support@socialexplorer.com. That's an easy way to get a hold of us. I see those, everybody sees those at the company, and we'll move quickly on something like that.
Awesome. And
Thank you,
folks,
Devin.
yeah, no problem, Jeff. In the follow-up email that I'll send out tomorrow with the recording, you'll get a link to that Social Explorer support email in case you'd like to reach out. And so the Ypsilanti District Library, Social Explorer worked with them directly. Another thing that you can do is use the demographic profiles for quick data. So this is a feature that I'll show you how to access. I'm using Chatham County again as an example because it's a very fast-growing area of the Triangle region near Raleigh and Durham and Chapel Hill. So I pulled within Chatham County, Pittsboro, which is the county seat, and Siler City, which is a little bit more western part of the county, using the demographic profile search. And what I found was really interesting. So Pittsboro, the population there is predominantly white, also predominantly women, whereas in Siler City, the majority population is Hispanic. And so that's something where the library could look at, okay, where is our nearest branch to Siler City? How are we serving that population? How are we working with the Hispanic community there? Are there materials that represent them and their needs? And so it's just a really nice way to get a snapshot of your community. And so I am going to show you how to do that within Social Explorer. Anytime you want to save a map, all you can do is just click save here. You can edit that title and description. I'm going to title it in the description April 2024. So I save it for later. And then if I want to get back to my dashboard, all I have to do is click those couple of dots in the top left corner to go to dashboard. And the demographic profile search is right over here. And so you can put in, like if I want to look at the county level for Chatham County, it's going to pull up these different Chatham counties. And then I have North Carolina. So you can pull up quick data on your county, looking at population by age, sex, race, ethnicity, foreign-born population, and place of birth. So 65% of the population in Chatham County is born in Latin America. Year of entry. So a good percentage of that population entered the country in the 1990s, and then in the 2000s, and then fewer in the last 10 to 15 years. Educational attainment. So you have data here. You have language, income, poverty data. So people living below poverty level, percentage, transportation to work. Useful for city planning, regional planning, looking at that data, health insurance, household makeup in your county, and then more about housing units and things like that. So that's the county, and then you can search within a county. So if I want to look at more details on Siler City, which is within a county, I can do that search. And this is, again, part of Chatham County. And looking back up at demographics. I can see more about median age. And then more here. And then within Siler City, actually the bulk of the population that is from Latin America entered the country in the last 10 to 15 years. And then more on, so 34% of the population in Siler City has less than a high school education. About 30% has high school. And then sharing more from here. You can use it for looking up a zip code as well. So let's say I'm going to look up this zip code, or if I want to put in the zip code 27510, which is where Carrboro, North Carolina is. It's right next to Chapel Hill and the university. And then I can pull up this data really quickly and find the bulk of the population is ages 20 to 29. Place of birth, so 13% of the population is from a foreign country. Educational attainment, and this makes sense because it's mostly grad students who live in Carrboro and work at the university. And then more data here on transportation work. So there's a bus system in Carrboro, but you can see here percentage of the population that works at home. It's just a really nice, quick, easy snapshot. And then you can look at larger regions. So you can look at North Carolina altogether and get that quick data to compare it from that small township, city, town level, county level, and then look at statewide and compare. And you can look at a major metro area, like if you wanted to look at Charlotte, Carolina, let's see, the city of Charlotte itself, or if you wanted to look at Mecklenburg County, you can pull up this quick search. It's just a really nice, convenient way to look at. You can also search by place. So if I wanted to search and look at, see if I can search by place. You can, yeah. So you can search by university here. Let's see if I can find. Pulled up Stony Brook University. So I'm tempted to take a look here. And this is just a snapshot of the university. Stony Brook is on Long Island. And I can see if I let it refresh a little bit. Some more data here. So you can go as far down as a university campus for our academic library folks. And again, the way that you find these profiles. All right, I'm gonna go back. It just opened up in a new window. Is by going to the demographic profile search available here in this toolbar on the left-hand side. And so that is something that is really great to start off. If you want to dig a little bit deeper, what you can do is upload custom point data. This is a really fantastic case study that Social Explorer did with the nonprofit, the North Texas Food Bank, which serves Dallas and the surrounding area. And what they did is they took data from the American Community Survey to identify areas where poverty and insecurity insecurity are greatest. And the survey showed that they also wanted to look at SNAP benefits and areas where there are different SNAP retailers, but also the percentage of people in a zip code that are enrolled in that. And they found that the 75203 zip code, which is located almost directly south of downtown Dallas, has a very high poverty rate. It is a predominantly Black zip code, but is very under-enrolled in SNAP benefits. So that was a really great way for the North Texas Food Bank to take data from Social Explorer and then combine it with USDA data on nearby SNAP retailers and increase enrollment in food stamps and SNAP benefits. And so they uploaded this historical data, which you can download as a zip file. I did the same thing to see. I was curious in North Carolina. Particularly, we have a member library, the High Point Public Library, that does run a farmer's market every Saturday about what their nearest SNAP retailers are and their percentage of the population that's enrolled in SNAP benefits. And what I did is I just kind of cleared all that data. I just uploaded data on SNAP retailers or any store that accepts food stamps in Guilford County. And what I found was there are actually very few retailers based on that data set in the High Point area that accept food stamps. And a lot of them were like Dollar Tree, some grocery stores as well. But if I'm High Point Public Library and I'm looking to increase funding for the farmers market every Saturday, or I want to work with my county or get a grant to add more positions for that, I can take this map and say, over 50% of the population in these census tracts around the library is enrolled in food stamps. We have a farmers market that serves that population. And there are very few other retailers in the area besides us every Saturday that have access to healthy produce and food. So that's one way that you can take custom data and upload it and see, kind of analyze a small segment of a community and use it for a grant proposal or for working with local government. Because it's really a lot easier for people to see a trend or a phenomenon using a map or some sort of visual tool like this. And so that's an example of how you can use that. Another thing that you can do, just want to mention with creating maps, it's good for representing one variable or maybe change over time. You can also use it to compare. I'll show you how you can compare different side-by-side views. But I think it gets a little bit tricky when you're adding multiple variables to a map. You really just want to focus on one thing. But it can help you answer questions like, where are your retirees in the county? Where are your Spanish speakers? Where are your recent movers? And that can be useful in targeting different populations in order to kind of invite them in the library and see if your programming can be more tailored to each branch. And so this is an example of, I uploaded data on all the branch libraries for Charlotte-Mecklenburg Library, and then I overlaid that with demographic data on Spanish-speaking households in Mecklenburg County. And this is something where maybe, within the library, you take a look and say, okay, these branches over on the western part of the county, there's a lot of Spanish-speaking population here. There's some over by Myers Park and Mint Hill. Maybe we can use this to more effectively allocate resources, print materials in Spanish, or like more marketing that is targeted to Spanish-speaking households that are near these branches. And so that is one tool at your disposal, is just like uploading that library branch data and then layering that demographic data to analyze a population. And so it's also a really nice way to look, as I mentioned, within a county and go as far down as census tract or block group to analyze particular areas. So in this example, I looked at the retiree population in Buncombe County and how it increased from 2021 to 2022. I did this because there's been a lot of population growth in Asheville and the surrounding metro area. particularly among retirees. And I was curious about how much it had changed and where that lines up with where different branches of Buncombe County Libraries, where those are located. And so if you can see here, this area, this census tract that's highlighted, it's over by Buncombe County Public Library's Fairview branch. And between 2021 to 2022, there was a 300% increase in retirees in just that particular area. And so the way that I created this map, I'll show you what that looks like in Social Explorer. So I'm going to go to my projects, and I'm going to go to retirees, Buncombe County. And all I did to start off with this map is I looked up retired, and then I pulled up retired workers profile. So the easy profiles are something that was recently added to Social Explorer, I believe. This is a demographic data company from New York that specializes in market profiles. And so you can look at that retired workers profile. And then what I did was I looked at change over time. I think I just did a year, right? And then I'm going to auto adjust. And so I saw that increase in retirees. So decreases in certain areas, massive increase right around the main library in downtown Asheville. And then over by here by Black Mountain, increase in retiree population. There's just been so much development in this particular area that this map I was really curious about creating. You can look at other market profiles from Easy that can be particularly useful. So if I go to all data, and then I have the market profile data, here are some of the other profiles that you can create. If you want to look at the population that uses public transit, so a bus, not really a subway in the case of Asheville, I could check subway or bus to work and see which populations take public transit. I could also look at the work at home population in Buncombe County and see different areas and how that's changed, like how it's increased in a particular area or maybe decreased. And then I can also look at, I'm gonna uncheck this, let's see. All right. I'm going to look at recent movers. I'm going to check that box. As you can see, it just gets complicated when you add multiple different variables. So I just kind of like to stick with one or maybe two. And this allows me to see recent movers. This data is from 2020. So I could change it to look at 2022 data. Let's see. Where are the profiles? What I can also do sometimes when I lose my place is just search for the variable in this top right corner here. So I want to look at recent movers. I'll check this data from 2022. And then I can see here where the recent movers are and where they're located in relation to particular branches. So that can be a really useful feature to say, okay, this library over here in East Asheville has seen a major increase of recent movers, as well as downtown. How can I put together a mailing campaign or maybe do an event where we're introducing new people to the library in the county? Same thing with Black Mountain over in the eastern part of the county, 500% increase in recent movers, massive increases over here. And maybe that's a way to kind of organize an event or a program or do some outreach related to recent movers in the county. And seeing where people have left particular areas. So that kind of allows you to strategize branch by branch and create marketing or outreach around a particular population. You can also use these preset maps that I mentioned. They're called data snacks, and they're good for answering common questions without starting from scratch. So they have preset maps on median household income, internet access, income inequality, mobility trends, so like movement out of county or in county, access to exercise opportunities, public transit users, and then work from home population. And so if I go back to Social Explorer, where you'll find that is in that toolbar on the left, and then click Data Snacks. And you can see the latest stories. You can also see what's been most popular. And I'm just going to take the example of internet connectivity across the United States. And the reason that I've done that is because there's a huge push for increased access to broadband internet in North Carolina. Oh, let me zoom back in. And what I can do here is click Save As and say, here, all right, now I've saved it as my own project so I can adapt it to my uses. And then I can take here, let's see. I'm going to edit project. So that allows me to edit this map. And let's say I just want to look at Brunswick County. So I'm going to change the geography to county. And I'm going to mask map data and look here at Brunswick County, which is on the coast. And so I can look here. The nice thing about this data is you can look down to the census tract or the block group level and explore change over time. So this is the American Community Survey 5-year estimates from 2018. And I can take this and look and see how access increased from 27 to 2018. But let's say I want to look at more recent data. What I can do is say, let's look at the American Community Survey from 2022. And then I'm going to look at change over time. And I can see here, if I auto adjust, this has changed from 2019 to 2022. So as you can see, this number of people without internet access in this census tract decreased from 369 households to 264. And then here it got cut in half from 2019 to 2022. In this census tract down to 250. And then in this census tract over here down to 80, only 80 households without internet access. So that's one way that you can explore change over time and see how internet connectivity is being increased in a county like Brunswick County. Just looking at that particular data. And this is how I created one from 2017 to 2022. So there was one particular census tract in Brunswick County where in 2017, there were 121 households without internet access. And then in 2022, that number shrunk to just 16. So that's one way that you can manipulate a pre-made map to do this sort of analysis. One thing I do want to share is you can use Data Axle Reference Solutions, which is one of our other resources, to find, if you search in the consumer/lifestyle search for fans of particular things, like public libraries have hobby, crafting, crocheting, programming, and you could look at where my crochet fans, self-reported fans of a particular hobby in my county. So I did this for Iredell County. And I found there were 190 people in this lifestyle search in Iredell County who are fans of crocheting. And what I did was I downloaded that info, anonymized it, just looked at the address level, and then I uploaded a spreadsheet of that point data to Data Axle to see, okay, where are my crochet fans in Iredell County, to see if they were concentrated around a particular branch. They're kind of around the Statesville location, but they're sort of spread out around the county. So it's hard to really find a clear trend in that data set. But this is a tool that you can use, uploading that point, or the self-professed fans of a particular hobby from Data Axle, upload it to Social Explorer, and kind of use it to select, oh, well, more of our fans of crochet are by the Troutman branch of Iredell County Public Library. So why don't we host programs at that branch for crochet fans, because they're more concentrated there, or vice versa, like using it to increase programming, or really prioritize your staff as well. These sorts of customized maps. So I could see you taking this sort of an approach, uploading for libraries to upload point data and analyze certain segments of your service population. Like, yes, you can upload all of your patron point data altogether, all of your library card signups, your current patrons, to Social Explorer, and creating this sort of a map. Does that get a little complicated? Yes. But you could also do it in segments. Like, let's say you just want to analyze new library card signups from your summer reading program this upcoming summer. You can take that data set and just upload the addresses and see, oh, a lot of my new library card signups are coming from this particular area of my county. What do I know about that area? Is it a big student population? Is it a huge Spanish speaking community? Is it a big retiree population? Is it where a lot of young families live in the county? And really kind of prioritizing that way. Or you could take a segment like using signups from National Library Card Sign Up Month in September, and just looking at where those signups came from, and creating a custom map for that. So it really kind of allows you to visualize where your new patrons are coming from, or new card holders from 2024. So that's one thing that you can do. So if you upload data on your library card accounts, you're just able to see that. I don't think it gets uploaded in a public way. Jeff, can you clarify that for me? I want to make sure. To my knowledge, when I'm
Yeah,
uploading,
you, right, that stays within your account. That
that's what I
doesn't
think.
become public.
Okay, cool. Yep.
And
So,
that's why that's why it's good to create an account. That way you can create maps, save them, put your own content into it, and so forth.
mhm. Yep. And then in terms of running reports, I'll show you all how to do that before I make sure there's time for questions. It's a great way to represent multiple variables, or the demographic makeup of a community. So what is the age breakdown of the zip code in my county? What is the income distribution? What are the most popular professions or industries in my community? What are the household languages? So you're able to see multiple variables, rather than just choosing one to represent in a map. So this one here, let me see if I can zoom in. Maybe not. But with this report here, all I looked at was means of transportation to work for Carrboro and Chapel Hill, because there's a bus system, a free bus system that serves both the campus and the surrounding community. And so I was curious in the last couple of years, whether, like, how many people are using the bus regularly. are using public transportation. And the number was much lower than I thought. About 10% of the population in Carrboro uses public transportation, 7% in Chapel Hill. And then I compared that to the North Carolina average, which it's less than 1% of the population use public transportation to work. And so it was surprising to me, but then also I looked at, who's using a bike to work, who's walking to work. So some people are using public transportation, but there's a whole percentage of the population in Chapel Hill, 6%, over 1,000 people that walk to work every day. And then I'm looking at percentage that works from home. So that's a really nice way. This is data from the American Community Survey, I believe. And so I'll show you how you can create a report right now. So if I go to create new and then report, I can pull from different data sources. So if I want to just look at the new 5-year estimates from the American Community Survey, I can do that. Or let's say I want to look at 1-year estimates. So I'll look at the ones from 2022. I can select a geographic type. So let's say I want to look at a few different towns. What I can do is look here in North Carolina. And let's say I want to look at Apex, Cary. Let's see. Let me scroll. This is just looking at particular towns. I'm going to look at actually Apex and Cary. Let's scroll. So let's say I want to compare these two towns for a particular variable or set of variables. I'm going to go to proceed to table. And let's see here. You can add multiple different variables. Like if I want to look at highest educational attainment for population 25 and over, I can do that. If I wanted to look at the median household income, I can do that. I can also look at some other variables here. Just going to scroll through. Travel time to work, means of transportation to work for workers 16 and over. So like I used before. And then I could add in more like health insurance, who's insured, who's not insured. And then I'm going to show my results. Let's see here. Click on this. There we go. So this is just comparing Apex and Cary for these values. I'm just getting Cary right now for highest educational attainment. But then I can compare median household income. They're pretty consistent. I can look at health insurance coverage. So only 2.3% of the population has no health insurance in Apex. It's 4.5 in Cary. And then within those who do have health insurance coverage, 13% have a public option or use the public option in Apex. And then in comparison, 18% use the public health coverage in Cary. And then again, you can always save as, or you can go back. Let's see here. And you can explore and create a new report if you wanted to. You can use the new version, which is a little bit more kind of visually friendly. Again, you can look at census data. One of the nice things that they have here is if you see this example of Census 2000 on 2010 geographies, the nice thing about that is you're able to compare the same geography. So using that 2010 geography back, because these geographies change every 10 years. So having that normalized geography is a really great way to consistently analyze change over time. If you want to get more into the nitty gritty on census data and downloading these reports for custom GIS data sets, we did a webinar last month on Advanced Social Explorer with GIS librarian Jeff Essick from NC State. But again, you can look at, I did a report looking at 2010 religious affiliation data. It's only from one data set, and it's really not covering a ton of religions, but it's one way that you can kind of look at the breakdown of variables is by generating reports in the tool. I do want to share different ways that use cases come into play. So again, as I showed, you can use this tool for community analysis or for aligning these maps to your library's strategic plan goals or to county priorities if you want to look at certain populations. It's great for business on entrepreneurship, using some of those market profiles for creating target markets. You can use this tool for genealogy purposes because you have census data as far back as 1790. It can be used for grant writing and nonprofit work, especially with that demographic data that always ends up coming up in grant proposals. It's great for high school students, especially students who are maybe in AP statistics or who are trying to build these skills before college. It can be really helpful to have experience with this sort of a tool. Policy advocacy, and also looking at, there's a lot of real estate housing level data for counties and for block groups in this tool. And then for academic libraries, you can embed any map that I showed you. Just you can take the embed code that's in the top right corner and copy that and embed it in any learning management system. It's great for supports for grants and research proposals, potentially for administrative decision making. And it's just also a really interesting way to teach data literacy for students in a multidisciplinary way. I highly recommend taking a look at some of these tools for learning later. They have tons of LibGuides and videos and data snacks and training modules that you can find for any subject area. So for our academic library folks, these are great tools to supplement an instruction session with Social Explorer. And they also have a YouTube channel as well. Now, we only have a few minutes left, but I do want to make sure that I save time for questions. Any questions on using Social Explorer? Yes, there's some consumer expenditure info included. So let me pull that up here. Just going to create a new map as an example. And then if you go to change data, you can go see here for MPD, consumer expenditures, and look at the total. So if I want to look at, say, total consumer expenditures for tobacco products, and then I can see by state, and then by county, and then I can explore change over time if I wanted to. So in Duplin County, consumer expenditure, so spending on tobacco products and smoking supplies has decreased in the last 2 years. And then let's see if there's anywhere that's increased. Terrell County, slight increase. But as you see kind of across the board, spending on tobacco products has decreased. And you can change this data as well. So if you want to look at how much people have spent on non-alcoholic beverages, 2022, showing the bubbles, but I'm going to change to shaded area. And then let's see, with changes in the beverage market, where there's increase in spending on non-alcoholic beverages. And now we see here with Johnston County, there's been a 15% increase in spending on non-alcoholic beverages. So as a lot of people are looking more at the non-alcoholic beer market or alternatives to alcoholic beverages. And then you can see here how that has changed over time. Yeah, I can show how to upload data. So if you go to that 3- line under the change data panel, as you can see here, and then click upload data, I am gonna just click on this data set of Guilford County. I just uploaded some of them wrong, but this is Guilford County SNAP retailer data from the USDA. I could also look at any like their layer library. So if I don't want to upload my own data, but I want to look at what pre-made layers they have, you can look at layers of flood zones, all the parks and open space in your county. So if I just want to look at point data of all the parks, or if you want to look at hospitals and nursing homes, childcare centers, like let's say I just want to look at childcare centers and add that data. I can then combine that with branches of Buncombe County Library as an example. So sorry, this looks a little scary right now. That's because I didn't. There we go. Okay. So these are all the branches of Buncombe County Library and then also childcare centers. So that's something where I have 2 different layers working with, and then I could see how these library branches, how they can do more outreach with the childcare centers that are near those branches. Like for instance, Haw Creek Elementary School has a Head Start program that is right next to this branch of Buncombe County Public Library. So that's an example. All I do with the uploading the layer is, let me pull up the Buncombe branches. I wish I could upload the CSV file again, but I don't know if my computer is finding it right. All you have to do when you upload it is it gives you the option of uploading by latitude or longitude or just geocode for address. Click geocode, and then it just takes that address and uploads it. So it's just the full address of the library with the zip code at the end is how I did this. And then Social Explorer kind of takes it away. But I've also, when I did the SNAP data, I just uploaded the address that I got from the data set as a CSV file, and then it just kind of works its magic on Social Explorer's end. Is there a specific format? No, it's just basically like an address. So all you have to do is upload that address with the zip code at the end and just save it as a CSV. You can't just upload an Excel spreadsheet. That's the only thing, is just making sure the file format is CSV. Jeff, is there anything I'm missing with uploading data?
No, that's it. I mean, you can also um, say what color you want the points to be and the size and
Mhm.
things like that. So you have some control over what the points look like, but you nailed it. Thank you.
Yeah. Um, and then again, if you're looking at what the Buncombe branches, so I have stars, but I could change the icon. Like, let's say I want to change it to a book for the library, and then I want to change the color to something that's a little bit more bold. I could look at that orange or yellow or green, and then click done, and then see it right there. And then anytime you just want to take the preset layers off, you can uncheck that layer that I had for childcare centers. Any other questions? I did pull together just a couple of resources for data-driven outreach and marketing. These were recommended by panelists from the marketing series that we hosted this month. So 2 ALA books here, Data-Driven Decisions, a Practical Toolkit, and then Library Marketing and Communications, Strategies to Increase Relevant Results. And then I linked to Project Outcome, which is a great tool for evaluating library programs and services, and then an article of strategies for library card sign-up month, which is not until September, but it doesn't hurt to start early and kind of crowdsource some ideas. If there are no questions, what I'll do is I'll stick around for maybe another minute, but feel free to email me if anything comes up, as well as email the support email for Social Explorer. Jeff and other staff at Social Explorer can help you more directly with certain projects. And keep an eye out for that recording. And I will send that out tomorrow with a feedback survey. So if you like this, or if you want to do more deep dives into Social Explorer on certain topics, please let me know. I'm really open to that sort of feedback and appreciate it. Thank you all so much. Have a good rest of your Thursday.
Thank you all.